Well, hello there. My name is Hattori. And you? And your buddy? There's the great murder. Sit there, don't go. Don't go, Jimmy!
There's no one there.
Someone in the house. And he died.
Well, I got you.
What you do to Jimmy? What did Jimmy ever do to you? He was just an innocent child. He has no place in war. What did you do to Jimmy? You guys killed Jimmy, the innocent soul. Wow, just went on a rampage. That's cool. Why? You killed Bob. I just like melee for people. Stop! Oh god, it's grenade! Ah! Hey Jordan, you're medic by chance?
No.
I know somebody's a medic. Somebody out of this entire lobby gotta be a medic. Walks across the entire map. Hey, what is going on, you guys? Admiral Tori here, and welcome back for another video on my channel. So today's video, I just want to talk to you guys about what's been happening to me, because you might have noticed that the last time I uploaded a video on this channel was in the early parts of November, and it was on the Belfast, and ever since then I just stopped making videos for the rest of November and the entire December. Now the reason is very simple. It's like every other reason. I was very busy. At the same time, it was pretty bad to a point where I was having a really rough period in terms of November and December, and that is the most basic idea I can basically summarize. Of course, this video will be too short if I just said that I just been busy and just went off with something else. I guess I can just add some extra stuff to it. I'm looking forward to do more videos after this video because I'm in my winter break, but then again, if I just said that, it's gonna be really short. So let's talk into details about what's been happening during November and the early parts of December. If you know me, I am a junior in college. I major in computer engineering. Engineering majors in general, they're not easy at all, and I see a lot of people drop out engineering majors for many reasons, and one of the most common reasons is that the class is workload intensive and of course very vigorous when it comes to learning the concepts. So for me, during November and the early parts of December, this is the part of the semester where pretty much is the end of the semester, more than halfway through the semester. So if you made it that far, then there's no way you're turning back, because in college, the way my college works, I'm assuming all other colleges work this way, but the first half semester you're given a chance to drop the class, meaning that you can just leave the class without being penalized for having a bad grade. Now, grades is one thing in college because it's going to appear on your transcript, of course. So when you go to some places that require your transcript, they want to know how well you do in school. They're going to be questioning your history of your grades, and having a D or F, especially in engineer major, it's quite rough to leave on your transcript. And even if you retake the class, retaking the class, you can get a better grade, of course, and replace the previous grade. But when you see that previous history, they still have records, basically. Just because you have a better grade than the previous grade doesn't mean that they cannot see your previous attempt. So basically, November and December is that part of the month where things get really rapid. And in general, this semester, for me, has been very rough. Ever since this semester started, I don't think I recall having a full weekend off to myself where I do videos or just enjoy playing video games. So you can just imagine the pressure I was getting in November and December, especially when you have several classes that you just don't know how well you're doing in, because there are classes, and the crazy thing is that some people don't realize this because this is a common thing for my engineering classes. I hear a lot of times when it comes to math and engineering, but there are classes where people average out at 30%. I know, right? You pass a class with 30%, and the mentality is that I always joke with my friends saying that the professor can't fail all of us. Like, I mean, if you fail everyone, I mean, especially when you have a 30% average, then the department is going to be questioning what's going on in that class. Is the class, not sufficient? Is the class is too hard? Is the professor unfair? Whatever the case is, even if he just fails everyone, not just the department is going to notice that, but students, of course, like me, like every other students. I have classes before where people were not satisfied with the professor quality, but students will send letters, send emails, send complaints about what happened. So I had several classes where I completely flunked the first test, and I was not just alone. The average was like 20%, 10%, 10 to 20%. I don't know. It was really bad. At least 50% was the highest score on average. And of course, there's one person who gets a really good score, but then he said that he retaken the class already, so basically that was the second time around, so he kind of knew what he was doing. But everyone else, first try, first attempt, they just realized how painful the test was, and that was my only standing point. And I was going to have to take it from that perspective, whether I should drop the class or stuck it. Luckily, he didn't really fail anyone. He just put a huge curve. But yes, you can kind of get an idea what I'm dealing with. I have another class where this was the biggest problem with this semester. This particular class, it's one of those moments where you're at the wrong place at the wrong time, or when you sign up for something, you don't realize that you're getting something more than what you expect. This particular class, I thought it was going to be a class where you spend a lot of time learning concepts and understanding them. That didn't turn out the way I was expecting it when I signed up for this class. This class was, you learn the concept, you get everything I just said, you're basically doing that, but you're adding extra options to it, which is workload. And that was the option to that particular class, because you got several options here. You got one professor who's teaching one of these classes, and you got another professor who might be teaching the same classes. Professors, when it comes to teaching people, especially when people like approach things, they approach things differently. Some professors believe truly into like tests, and they don't give you that much work, and there's professors that give you a lot of work and don't really believe in tests. And you just feel like in the gutter when you have a professor who believes in tests and work. And for my case, that was it, because he had test, quiz, and work. You have to basically go to class every day because he gives out a quiz every day. And these quizzes are not your traditional quizzes where you just like study the night before and you take the quiz the next day like most other classes do. This quiz is very easy. Number one, that's the great thing about this quiz, is because it's very valuable and it's easy. The only problem is that you got to be at class every day, because the way the quiz works is basically, while he teaches, you write down the answers, and that's how you maintain your focus in class. That's how he believes it. At the same time, he gives out fairly reasonable tests, but the combination of me not having enough time to figure out his tests, and these are not like your average tests, because like I said, this is an engineering test, so you're gonna be spending a lot of time figuring out things and applying concepts. It's not that you gotta remember the concept, you gotta understand the concept, apply it, and then utilize that concept, and hopefully you can finish within a reasonable amount of time. And you gotta keep in mind, I only got like an hour and 15 minutes to take a test. But the biggest problem with this particular class for me was the workload. The workload was inhuman. It was legitimately inhuman to me. I guess it's not entirely inhuman, but to me, I'm mind blown about some people who are able to take 5 classes with this class included on the schedule, because I spend on average 20 to 30 hours a week with his assignment. And to be more specific to what I'm talking about, he is a computer science class. This is a class where you code, and coding is not like, someone tells you to do something and you just write it up like doing an English essay. Like, they give you a topic and you just write the English essays, you revise it with your grammar, you might add extra details, you might cut details. The way you code, for those people who never seen computer coding, or at least you're not a computer engineer or a computer science major, you're given a prompt, which is the same way as giving a topic in any other sort of English language class or any language class in general. But when you're coding, you're trying to figure out how you can approach this prompt. If you approach the problem incorrectly, and this is the thing about coding, because some people can get it on the first try, and some people don't get it on the first try. And I'm just one of those people who don't get it on the first try, because I'm not one of those people who are gifted when it comes to coding. the great thing about humanity in general is that you don't have to be great at something. As long as you can figure out, as long as you can reach the final point, that's good. Because it's just people, like I said, who just really snaps on really easily. For me, it wasn't easy. And I spend, like I said, I spend 20 to 30 hours on average each weekend coding. If this method doesn't work, you gotta start from the bottom. If this method doesn't work, you gotta have to find the problem. And if you're lucky enough, the keyword, if you're lucky enough for a person like me to find where the problem arises, because it's not just that you run it, the program fails, and the program tells you, oh, this is the problem with the program. It will give you a entire list of messages, error messages, not just error 404 that you see on your web browser, just messages telling you that this small problem, because you forgot a semicolon, you forgot this small thing to it, basically grammar. There's a grammar to coding, the same way as you have grammars in languages, but if you miss one grammar, sometimes it can give you a whole list of problems. And sometimes it's not just the grammar, you can get the code perfectly correct, meaning that you can have the perfect grammar, but the program, because remember, the key reason to you programming this software is to solve a problem. If the program does not solve the problem correctly, that means you have the grammar down, you have the correct rules in terms of writing the code, but you have the incorrect theory to it, or at least incorrect operation. So the program, if that was the case, that was the worst case scenario. That is when you spend 30 hours on the weekend, all Friday, all Saturday, all Sunday. Once you wake up, you eat breakfast, you jump on the computer, and you just like bang your head on the table to why does this not work? And not just that. I mean, I can understand it, because the great thing, I mean, when it comes to life, you face problems, of course, and you learn from your problems, and especially in moments like these where you're enduring such of a painful period of dealing with such amount of work, and especially pressure from school, because like I said, if you fail the class and you don't drop it, because dropping a class is the safest way to not have something bad on your record, but if you take the class and you're beyond the return point, you're going to have to pass it no matter what, and if you don't pass it, like I said, it's going to look really bad on your transcript. So you're at this point where you're getting pressure by not figuring out this program, and this programs in this class are very big. It is so huge. And I saw somebody, when he lists, like, he gives out the list of people's of their grades, and they have the IDs. They don't tell you your name, but your number ID, so you kind of figure out where you're at. I've seen people in that class for some odd reason taking the class, haven't turned in a single program, but aced his test, and they aced every one of his tests, and they passed with like 40%, 40 to 50%. For me, I was like, the unlucky part of the semester was that I was doing terrible on this test. I was getting 70%. I know, right? 70% is terrible for me, but for Americans, on average, it's like you did okay. You passed the test. But the point is, 70% isn't sufficient enough, because that is only 3/4 of what you understand. When it comes to engineering, you gotta understand everything, because if you don't if you're missing that 25% and you go to the next level of whatever division class, because the next class is going to bring up that previous experience, and if you're missing that 25%, and if it's the reason of concept, that which is the worst case, but sometimes you miss that percentage, which I hope I miss it, is because of minor mistakes. I always go back to like review subjects that I missed because I didn't understand. But one of the key goals in my life is to understand it thoroughly, because like I said, some people catch on really easily and some people don't. So if I can understand the concept, but if I don't like get it right the first time, but understand why I didn't get it right, and I can fix it the second time, or no matter how many tries I take, that is the ultimate goal when it comes to becoming someone in terms of whatever field. This does not just apply to engineering, it applies to everything that you do. If you go to work and a customer is mad at you, there's got to be a reason why the customer is mad at you. I mean, if you just go to work and you don't spend the time to think about why the customer is mad at you, then you're going to get a poor review on your service in terms of what you've been doing at work. And at the worst case scenario, your manager, your boss will get angry at you and fire you. So it's a huge learning curve for me to see that I'm not getting a good grade on the test, because I was expecting to get at least a average of a C plus, which is roughly 75-78%. But I was getting like 70%, like borderline between a 60 and a 70. So it was very frustrating this semester. I was pretty much fed up with the work. And to put it in perspective, I was spending 80% of my time on this one particular class because of work. And I do really appreciate the work, because honestly, I learned a lot from doing all these works for spending 30 hours, 20 hours a weekend. I mean, it's not like I spent 20 to 30 hours staring at the ceiling and wondering why this program does not work and I want to punch my monitor, but it was such a great feeling. You get this, I don't know, this happiness, this achievement when you actually able to solve this problem after spending so many hours on your weekend trying to solve it. But then again, it rises the problem because I'm not just taking this class. I'm taking 3 other classes, and some of my other classes have tests. Some other classes have 2 essays. Some classes have a lot of homework. Not just that class, but like I said, I'm spending 80% on this one particular class, and I got 20% left to deal with the other class, and I just want to do some World of Warship videos or any other videos. But, you know, I always say that YouTube is just a thing I do for fun. And if I ever have the chance to do a career on YouTube, I wouldn't mind, but the number one reason I do YouTube is just to have fun. At the same time, share my experience with a lot of things I enjoy, because one of the coolest things about YouTube is that I thoroughly enjoy when people talk about their lives. Not just vlogs, you know, there's vlogging channels out there just talk about their lives every day. It's these moments where people talk about, you learn something from it. And I do enjoy it when I hear people talk about their proms, and they talk about how they endure and succeed and become resilient in this prom. For me, this is the worst semester out of my entire college year, and it was easily could have been better, but the combination of me pretty much overwhelming myself. And this is the thing about human psychology that people don't realize. If you overwork yourself, you're gonna become less efficient in future things. So I was basically, I don't know how to put it anyway, other way, but overwork, overwhelmed. And you gotta think about it, because I was getting like 6 to 5 hours of sleep, and I was like sleeping at 2 o'clock in the morning. Like seriously, 2 o'clock in the morning. I study a night before a test. I actually had one day where I had to study for my math class, and I only got like 2 hours of sleep. I know, right? It's crazy. The first thing in the morning, I woke up after 2 hours, just, man, I just got to drive to school, take that test, and leave. I was mind blown. And for some odd reason, human brain, if you don't get enough sleep, for some reason I was still wide awake, because it thinks that I just took a 2-hour nap and I should be wide awake, even though technically I didn't get any sleep at all. But yeah, I don't know what to say. It was quite an experience. It sounds really crap for my life in that particular semester, but at the same time, I kind of enjoyed it because it was a challenge, because I love challenges. But when it gets to a point where something is jeopardized, like my grades, because I'm paying for this class and it's going to look very bad on my transcript if I do poorly, the good thing is that after December, which is the early parts of December, that my finals came in. Once I'm done with the finals, I found out that I passed all my classes with a reasonable grade. Nothing below a B, which is the good thing, because that's what you always want to aim for in college. A B is considered an average to most people in college, for those people who didn't know. In the American school system, apparently during my times in public school, a C was considered average, but honestly, I think a B is the average. A B in public school is pretty much a try-hard to most people. But yeah, it's been really rough, and you can just imagine, like, after spending 30 hours a week, getting 5 hours of sleep, and 30 hours a weekend. I mean, come on now. 30 hours a weekend, that's kind of crazy. You spend 10 hours working, and then next thing you know, you wake up next Monday morning, school starts again. And you're like, oh my god, it feels endless. So that was pretty much my entire semester. It was very rough, and I know I always try to put out a video every week, or a video to, in terms of like videos, trying to keep a schedule at worst, a video every 2 weeks. But if you enjoy these type of things, like expressing my life experiences, because like I said, I do enjoy hearing people talk about their lives when I subscribe to them. But yeah, that is what happened, if you're curious. Like I said, long story short, I just was very busy. Overall, I mean, it was a combination of having a very terrible semester because, like I said, I spent 80% of my time in that one particular class. So it was adding on the workload for the other classes because the other classes I was kind of like failing. But like I said, the professor can't fail all of us. But yes, I only got 20% to work with. And after like a week before the finals week, the final test, I actually spent the entire week reviewing the other 3 classes because, like I said, I only put 20% in those classes, so I was extremely behind. Luckily, the only good thing that came out of this semester was that those other 3 classes, their workload was somewhat light. Sometimes it was just that one instant moment where there's a lot of workload. For example, during Thanksgiving week, I had 3 tests in 1 week with the essay due, and in that weekend, like I said, I'll be spending time coding. So yeah, it was hell. It was completely hell. But the good news is that I made it this far, and I'm looking forward to next week after I upload this video to get back on track with my schedule and try to upload more videos on World of Warships, Doom, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and all the good stuff that I'm doing on this channel. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time on my channel.